So Luther made a post about wanting a character to walk across the bottom of the screen while he's doing his woodworking video. And after a little bit back and forth and so forth, he initially had a stickman. He provided this image here as a sample of what he would like to have walking or running across the screen at the bottom, looking across the looking at the screen while going across. And you can do this within Filmora, and I'm not saying that what I'm suggesting here is better than using the Filmora. In fact, I think the features in Filmora may be quicker than what I did here. However, I just wanted to demonstrate a way that you could do it for free using other tools, using Filmora and one other tool. And let's take a look at that. So the question was how to make a figure walk across the screen, look at the screen, look about, and then walk off. And I think this would be something like this sort of. And how did I get to that? Let's take a look at that. I downloaded his character and I opened up Grok simply by going to grok.com, which is a free large language model, which does allow you to create 6-second clips. And this is an area where Filmora probably could do better because it would allow you to extend any clip that you create. So I can't do that with this clip. But by typing in just the right prompts, getting the character to walk across the screen, I eventually got a series of clips that I could use to put together. Okay, here are some of the clips that I created where the person walks, or the cartoon character walks, looks at the screen, and so forth. And this was all generated off that one image using Grok in little 6-second clips. As you can see, I used some. I did not use others, so they weren't all used. But the ones that I could use, I put down on the timeline here. And what I did then was, here I have him walking, and what I did was I trimmed from some of the ones that I have. We can see up here, if we go to the source here, and excuse the sound. But basically, we have the person walking, the cartoon character walking, and we trimmed just the portions we needed. In order to get a smooth transition between one clip and the next clip, what I did was I turned off the magnetic timeline and ripple, make sure that none of that's turned on, and I would take one clip and I would place the next clip above it and overlap it just slightly, have my timeline right there. And then I would use compositing. Video basic, go down to compositing and change the opacity to about 50%. At this point now, we can see both the top and bottom, and moving them around using the position like so, we can overlap them just perfectly. And if need to, we can also change the scale so that they match exactly the same. And then don't forget to restore the opacity to 100% so that the transition will be very smooth. Once they match, we can then put them right next to each other, and then we have an almost seamless transition from clip to clip. And the other thing that we used was keyframes to move the image. With enough prompts, you can get the character to walk from the left side of the frame to the right side of the frame. But I use keyframes to also move the frame across. And here's, if we look at this one here, we can see there's a keyframe here and a keyframe here. And so it does that. And I repeat that a couple of times. And then I use the portion of the clip where he turns to look at the screen. And I did that a couple of times. I had a couple of versions of that. And then again, turns to the right and starts walking this way. And that was repeated a couple of times in order to get the full screen. Now, of course, there's more that needs to be done with this than just this in order to incorporate this into a video. So what I did once I had created my entire walking clip, I simply exported it and I imported it into a new project. Next step, of course, what I wanted to do was to get a green screen background as I show here. Now, if we turn off the green screen and we go over here to the matting, you can see that I use the smart cutout. Because remember, there was both a black section and a white section that needed to be removed. And this is what it looked like. And when we were moving across, we can see that this white section is moving as well as the black would be changing. And we want to remove both. And the only way to do that is to use, in this case, is to use the smart cutout. We use the smart cutout to select the character. And we change this background so it's easier to tell if we have everything that we wanted. We can use the selection tool and the erase tool and these other tools to move around so we can fine-tune our setting. Now, keep in mind when we're using the Smart Cutout tool, what it does is it acts on just one frame. It doesn't act on the whole clip. So in order to get it for the whole clip, we have to go into the advanced mode. In the advanced mode, we can take the mask that we've applied to our character and we can click, if it's a frame that's in the middle of the clip, you want to use the best frame available in order to select it. We can then click the track forward and track backwards. In other words, what it will do, it will apply that mask to the object we have selected. It doesn't have to be a person, anything that we've selected, and it will follow that object. Now, sometimes it's not perfect, but you can then go in and detail it, and you can use these other buttons to jump between keyframes that you created or track just one way or the other, forward or backwards. So that was the next thing, and then we hit apply. And I'm just going to cancel out because I've already done this. So now I've got my character pretty much. I would go through there and you can see, yes, I did miss a few things, but then again, this is just a demonstration video. Then I raised that up to video track number 2, and I added a green screen below. And now I have the full clip that I want to use, or I can use in any one project that I create in the future simply by exporting this. And that brings us to the last portion of the project, and this is where we're going to incorporate this into an actual video. So we'll go to our third clip here, and what we did here was, and I'll take it apart here just a little bit. We're going to remove our person. Well, we can see here we have our person going across the screen, and he's walking rather fast, or he's running, and we'll discuss that in a second. But let's just hide him for a second. So what I started with was a, just in this case, this is a planar tracking that I'm using here. Now this is not going to be necessary for Luther because he's doing a woodworking project, so he's going to be using the whole video. But just for demonstration purposes, so I have this image here. I had to convert the image to a video because you can only use planar tracking on a video, not on a video clip. So I have a video clip here, and there's really nothing happening in it because it's just a person sitting in front of a screen. But in order to take this video that I have up here and make it fit on the green screen, I had to apply the planar tracking to this particular clip here. You can find planar tracking for your video clip up here under video, and then in basic, and then scroll down and you find planar tracking. And this would allow you to, first of all, put your markers on the edge of whatever it is, whatever plane it is that you're trying to track. And it can be irregular or whatever. And then once you have tracked the entire video or your clip here, then you can choose another video. And you see I have here George skiing through the woods. That's the clip that I'm putting above, and I have linked that to the plane. And now what I have is I have the video shown within the plane. It's really not the purposes of this video, but let's just go to the last aspect of it now. Now I can take my video clip, and obviously it was a much larger person, so I use the scaling tool to scale down the size of the character to the way I want it, and I use the position tool to position it right here. Now one other thing that I did was I needed it to fit within a certain time frame, so I used the speed setting here to speed it up so that it would fit within the time frame. And the last thing I did was, again, I used keyframes to move the person to make sure that when they got to the part where they're looking at the screen, it's kind of near the middle of the screen. So between here and this keyframe here, we're maintaining that position. You're just looking there. We don't want the character moving across the screen. And then from here to here, we set another keyframe so that he makes it to the side of the screen before it's done. Okay, just a little backtracking here. I forgot one very important part of the project. Well, the important thing is that, and let me just remove these other two here. What we used is chroma key, and that's an AI matting. And here is chroma key. This is our green screen image, and we want to remove the green screen, so we use chroma key, and the green is the default color, but if it wasn't, if you were using some other color, you would simply use the color picker and place it over whatever color it is that you're trying to remove in the background, if it's not green. But the green is the default, so if you if you use green, use this bright green, as soon as you turn on chroma key, it will automatically take off the background. So that's basically all you have to do. Now that's a lot that you have to do, but these are the steps you would take in order to take a cartoon character and adding it to the bottom of the screen.